from Royal Communications Incorporated. A pleasant good morning and welcome to King's Newsroom. 45 minutes of news from Liberia. And the rest of our one word today is Wednesday, November 5, 2025. Story topping the headlines this morning. Montserrat County District 10 lawmakers seeks impeachment of Chief Justice Yamin Gbese with a bill presented to the House of Representatives. Representative Yeka Kolba accuses Chief Justice Gbese of nepotism and public officials' code of conduct violations. Government of Liberia rejects citizens' movement for change. Bond County $38 million bridge construction request. Public Works Minister Roland Gillens claims the party requests fall short of cardinal information. Criminal Court A drops charges against 28 rape dependents or defendants due to overstayed in prison. Away from home, Tanzania police have lifted a nighttime curfew imposed since last Wednesday in the main city of Dar es Salaam following deadly elections protests as life slowly returns to normal across the country. And at least 40 people in Sudan have been killed in a drone strike that targeted a funeral that was taking place outside the Ahmed Hill city in North Kordofan state, officials and activists say. The news bulletin Voices of the Newsmakers are all packaged in this edition of the program. We take a very short break to be right back. Montserrat County District 10 Representative Yeka Kolba has introduced a resolution before the House of Representatives seeking the impeachment of Chief Justice Yamin Gbese for what he described as proved misconduct, nepotism, and a gross breach of judicial duty. In his communication to the House plenary, Representative Kolba accused Chief Justice Gbese of abusing the power of his office to advance personal and political interests in direct violation of Article 71 of the Liberian Constitution, which mandates that judges and justices hold office only doing good behavior and may be removed upon impeachment for proved misconduct or breach of duty. The resolution entered into the legislative record under the caption Impeachment of Chief Justice Yamin Gbese for proved misconduct and gross breach of duty, cites two major counts against the head of the judiciary: nepotism and violation of the code of conduct for public officials. According to the resolution, on September 24, 2025, the National Trial Justice Association of Liberia raised alarm over the Chief Justice's recommendation of several unqualified individuals to President Joseph Boakai for appointment as associate magistrates. Among the names, the associate Harris Boakai, a relative to President Joseph Boakai, and William Gbese, son of the Chief Justice, both allegedly lacking the requisite legal education and training from the Judicial Institute. The District 10 lawmaker noted that in the National Trials Judges Association of Liberia letter to Chief Justice Gbese, the trial justice questioned the credibility of the judiciary's recruitment process. The resolution alleges that instead of addressing the judge's concern, Chief Justice Gbese summoned, chastised, and publicly humiliated the president of the Trial Judges Association during the opening of court. He added that Chief Justice reportedly admitted to recommending his son's appointment and, according to the record, went as far as making personal remarks about the judge's family. Representative Yeka Kolba's impeachment petition calls for Chief Justice Gbese immediate removal, trial by the Senate, and permanent disqualification from holding any public office of honor, trust, or profit within the Republic of Liberia. The government of Liberia, through the Ministry of Public Works, has rejected requests made by The Citizens Movement for Change for the construction of a $38 million bridge in Bond County. A communication address to the leadership of the opposition political party by Public Works Minister Roland Giddens disclosed that the government has plans for the construction of the project of the subject bridge. Minister Giddens also noted that the government has already allocated funds and is in the process of finalizing all technical documents for the procurement of a contractor. The Citizens Movement for Change, headed by Nimba County District 7 Representative Musa Ability, earlier requested a permit from the government to construct a bridge in Bond County to alleviate what many locals in the area have described as age-old problems. The request was made by the CMC after the Public Works Ministry said the party could not be allowed to carry on the construction of the bridge without presenting the blueprint of the bridge and obtaining a permit from the government. However, according to the Public Works Ministry communication, the Citizens Movement for Change has failed to present its SAT topographic study report, geotechnical investigation report, hydrological and hydraulic report, among others, during its request. The government at the same time requests the CMC to submit the right documents when requesting to construct a bridge in the near future. Agriculture Minister Dr. Alexander Nuta has announced a new edition of the National Agriculture Fair 2025, which is set to take place in Compass City, Nimba County. Speaking at Mika press briefing Tuesday, Minister Newton said the fair is expected to begin from November, that's December 9 to 13, 2025, adding that schools of local farmers and stakeholders in the agriculture sector will converge to promote agricultural production and innovation. According to the Agriculture Minister, the Director General of Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations will be in the country to grace the occasion, followed by President of the Tuskegee University in the United States of America. He mentioned the events highlights President Boakar's effort to enhance local production with the aim for Liberians to feed themselves and boost economic growth. The Ministry of Health, with support from the World Health Organization, is expected to launch a 5-day vaccination campaign aimed at preventing over half a million girls between the ages of 9 to 18 of comical cancer throughout Liberia. The program manager of the expanded program on immunization at the Ministry of Health, Dr. Luya Nima, disclosed that the human papillomavirus vaccine will be administered from November 17 to 21, 2025 at all public health centers. Addressing a press conference held at the Ministry of Health in Concord Town recently, Dr. Nima pointed out that the vaccine is intended to prevent women for long life protection because the disease is transmitted through sex. According to him, the vaccine will help protect girls from womb cancer, thus protecting them from the killing disease for the rest of their lives. Chief Justice Yami Kwekwebueze has called on newly appointed magistrates to serve with integrity, impartiality, and strict adherence to the rule of law, reminding them that their decisions directly impact the lives of ordinary citizens and the credibility of the judiciary. Speaking Tuesday at the induction ceremony for magistrates assigned to various schools across the country, Chief Justice Bueze emphasized that magistrates form the foundation of Liberia's judicial system and must therefore act with fairness, integrity, and respect for the law. The Chief Justice underscored that the country's judicial credibility depends largely on how magistrates discharge their duties, noting that they are the first point of contact between the citizens and the court. He describes the appointment of magistrates as a call to higher responsibility rather than a privilege or a political favor. Chief Justice Bueze vowed that under his watch there will be no excuse lateness for judges, including magistrates, adding that judicial reforms begins with effectiveness and consistent enforcement of disciplinary measures against judicial misconduct. Responding on behalf of the newly appointed magistrates, Maryland County Penitentiary Magistrate Councilor Adolphus Taylor promised on behalf of all newly appointed magistrates to uphold integrity, impartiality, and adherence to the rule of law as they assume their judicial duties across the country. Magistrate Taylor expressed gratitude to President Joseph Boakai and the Liberia National Bar Association for the confidence reposed in them. In a related development, the president of the National Bar Association, Councillor Broom Nov, has called on newly appointed magistrates to demonstrate impartiality, independence, and professionalism as they assume their roles across the country, emphasizing that magistrates' courts represent the first line of judges or justice for most Liberians. Speaking at the induction ceremony for magistrates held at the Temple of Justice in Monrovia, Councillor Vamai described the event as a reaffirmation of the judiciary's collective commitment to justice and service to the Liberian people. He noted that it occupies a pivotal position in ensuring access to justice for all citizens. Councillor Vamai reminded that magistrates must be guided by principles of impartiality, independence, and respect for the rule of law, cautioning them against allowing political influence, personal relationships, or financial interests to interfere with their decisions. The LMBA president also underscored the importance of competence and continuous legal education, urging magistrates to participate in training and professional development programs offered by the judiciary, the national or the Bar Association, and international partners. Councillor Varman further called on the magistrates to ensure that their courts remain accessible, respectful, and protective of the rights of all individuals, especially vulnerable groups. Criminal Court A has dropped charges against 28 defendants accused of raping several teenage girls in the country following a motion filed to the court by defense lawyers Councillor Jerome Porter, Judge Serena Kalawulo, according to our judicial correspondent, released the 28 defendants on grounds that they have overstayed beyond the statutory period, which violated Chapter 18, Section 18.2 of the Criminal Procedure Law of Liberia. Judge Kalawulo's ruling maintained that the defendants have been in prison for more than 2 court terms, which violate their constitutional rights. But the director of the Sexual-Based Violence Unit at the Ministry of Justice, Councillor Arthur or Isaac George, took exception to the court's decision. Councillor George said that Judge Kalawulo's November 3, 2025 decision went contrary to law controlling and undermining their fight against rape in the country. Councillor George further revealed that they would take advantage of the law with a petition of a writ of prohibition to the Supreme Court with the intent to overturn her decision consistent with law. The government of Liberia has announced the arrival of 35 buses for public transport. According to the Ministry of Information, the buses brought into the country on the authority of the National Transit Authority, a government institution responsible for public transport services. Each of the newly arrived buses are 60 seated, intended to bolster public transportation capacity. The buses will also improve commuting options for citizens and residents in different areas. The House of Representatives Committee on Youth and Sports has placed a temporary hold on the interference of the Ministry of Youth and Sports, Ko Bangalore, in the affairs of the Federation of Liberian Youth. The committee, chaired by Riverside County District 2 Representative Steve Tikwa, was reached ahead of the Youth and Sports Minister's appearance before the committee. Minister Bangalore has been summoned to provide legal justification for his reported decision to appoint an official of government to serve as an interim president of FLY. The committee has since expressed opposition to the decision, adding that the Federation of Liberian Youth is a civil society organization and as such should operate independently of direct government control. In furtherance, it emphasized that the Ministry of Youth and Sports as a government institution cannot make political or administrative decisions for an autonomous youth body. The decision was reached during a hearing held recently with two deputy ministers of the Ministry of Sports before the committee. And President Joseph Boakai has instructed the management of the Forestry Development Authority to forward to his office within 6 weeks with the clear explanation and reconciliation on Liberia's total standing on the forest status. He said the government owes aid to the Liberian people and its international partners to manage the forests in the country based on truth, transparency, and scientific accuracy. President Boakai's directive was contained in a speech delivered on his behalf by Dr. Augustine Cannon, Presidential Advisor on International Affairs, at the opening of a 3-day dialogue on the Liberia National Forest Reform organized by the Forestry Development Authority in Congo Town. In remarks, the Managing Director of the Forestry Development Authority, Rudolph Marak, disclosed that the revenue in the forest sector has dropped from over 40 million United States dollars before the Civil War to about 5 million United States dollars currently. The reform under the theme leveraging Liberia's forests for economic, social, and environmental sustainability brought together partners in the forest sector, members of the diplomatic corps, the civil society organizations, the Liberia Timor Association, and community dwellers. The news bulletin. We take a very short break. When we come back, we bring you the voices of the newsmakers. Indeed, if you just joined us, a reminder you are in tune to King's Newsroom, 45 minutes of news from Liberia and the rest of our one world. Today is November 5, 2025. My name is Cornelius Johnson Angering. One of our top stories this morning: Montserrat County District 10 representative seeks impeachment of Chief Justice Yami Gbeze with a bill presented to the House plenary. Representative Yeke Kolubai accuses Chief Justice Gbeze of nepotism and public officials' code of conduct violation. Let's now bring you voices of the newsmakers. Today's development now, Agriculture Minister Dr. Alexander Nuta has announced a new edition of the National Agriculture Fair 2025, which is set to take place in Compass City, Nimba County. Speaking at Mika Press Briefing Tuesday, Minister Nuta said the fair is expected to begin from December 9 to 13, 2025, adding that schools of local farmers and stakeholders in the agriculture sector will converge to promote agricultural production and innovation. According to the Agriculture Minister, the Director General of Food and Agriculture Organization at the United Nations will be in the country to grace the occasion, followed by the President of the Turkish University in the United States of America. Here now is Agriculture Minister Alexander Nuta.
This year, we are going to be celebrating the fair on a theme: empowering farmers and enriching the nation. Why did we choose this theme? As you all know, agriculture is the largest sector in this economy, catering to over 70% of our population. Most of those who live in rural communities depend on agriculture or agriculture-related activities to sustain themselves, to send their children to school, to put bread and butter on their tables. So if we empower the farmers by giving them what they need to carry on production, to carry on value addition, of course, we empower them. So this year is intended, the theme for this year even is intended to create that awareness among us as policymakers and government agencies that are responsible for providing the necessary support to agriculture to redouble their efforts. Because if we support our farmers, we are not just supporting individuals, we are building a nation. Because if these farmers generate revenue or income, they are going to support other aspects of the economy that will help this nation to move forward in the way we all want to see it. And this goal or theme is actually aligned with our National Development Plan or the Everest Agenda for Inclusive Development. The intent is to create wealth. And the surest means of creating wealth in this country is through the agriculture sector. Because there, bulk of our population is. If you heard the World Bank report that I just spoke about, they spoke specifically about rubber, the rubber sector. Rubber is the largest generator of foreign revenue in the economy, in the agriculture sector. Their exports bring in a lot of foreign exchange.
From agriculture, there with Agriculture Minister Dr. Alexander Newton, we now move at the health sector, where the Ministry of Health, with support from the World Health Organization, is expected to launch a 5-day vaccination campaign aimed at preventing over 500,000 girls between the ages of 9 to 18 against chemical cancer throughout Liberia. The program manager of the expanded program on immunization at the Ministry of Health, Dr. Luya Nema, disclosed that the human papillomavirus vaccine will be administered from November 17 to 21, 2025 at all public health centers.
Vaccine we are talking about offers a chance of protection, preventing our young ladies from developing cervical or womb cancer later on in life. So the old adage that prevention is better than cure resounds with us now. If we encounter the girl very early, and this is why we say we're beginning the vaccination at age 9 years, and for 5 days we will include it up to 18 years. So girls 9 years to 18 years will qualify for this vaccine. They only take one injection and they have a chance to protect themselves against the cervical cancer. We every opportunity to echo the message, for us to repeat the message in different forms, through drama, through music, through songs, through spoken words, will help us reach a girl out there, because they are our intended target. We want them to hear the message. We want them to come out during the period of the vaccination. So we cannot do this on our own. We depend heavily on you, our media partners, to carry this message to the community. This particular sickness is a sexually transmitted infection. And to prevent, it's always good to prevent before. That is why we say 9 years old is about a good place to begin. We hope most of the girls have not commenced life. But this vaccine is safe and it can be issued to women up to 24 years or 25 years. The specific age difference does not make any difference. Where the difference or the age comes in is how you get your vaccine. So we depend on donations from the WHO, UNICEF to give us these vaccines. And remember, Liberia is not the only country that's asking for this vaccine. We are competing with about 125 countries. So therefore, they say, plan well. Who can best benefit from the vaccine? If we start early, girls between 9 to 14 years should be the ones that they will concentrate on. Therefore, the donated vaccines will calculate how many girls of our 5.5 million population are between the age of 9 to 14. And roughly that will be about 7.3% of the population. So they will give you this amount of vaccine free. So that one informs it.
He is Dr. Neyman of the Ministry of Health, Program Manager of the Expanded Program on Immunization. They're disclosing a launch of a 5-day vaccination campaign aimed at preventing over 500,000 girls between the ages of 9 to 18 against chemical cancer throughout Liberia. Now, at the judiciary, Chief Justice Nyamin Kwekwebweze has called on newly appointed magistrates to serve with integrity, impartiality, and strict adherence to the rule of law, reminding them that their decisions directly impact the lives of ordinary citizens and the credibility of the judiciary. Speaking Tuesday at the induction ceremony for magistrates assigned to various courts across the country, Chief Justice Weze emphasized that magistrates form the foundation of Liberia's judicial system and must therefore act with fairness, integrity, and respect for the law. The Chief Justice underscored that the country's judicial credibility depends largely on how magistrates discharge their duties, noting that they are the first point of contact between citizens and the court. Here now is Chief Justice Nyami Weze.
When you conclude that you are no more an ordinary person, the judge is not an ordinary person in society. The judge is a responsible person. Not because an authority is a major step in your life. For over 5 million people in this country, you are being identified and elevated as a judge. For me, anybody who handles a example and decide a matter is a judge. And you are not a different person altogether and should behave in such manner to distinguish yourself. If you used to go sit down in the bar and take 3 4 black beer, somebody don't expect that on you anymore. Other people will do it, but somebody does not expect that on you anymore. When you say, be somebody like a judge, you and somebody used to live for hours, sit outside a hospital and another, you are no more. And you should dance in the bar, you are no more. This profession that is in this position that is in, and distinguish you from any and all persons in society. While other people can do and go free, you cannot do that. As a whole judge, society depends on you for peace in society. Your way of dressing is not different from anybody. Your way of walking, your way of talking, everything you do in life is not different. And how society looks like. I pray and hope that your judgment will reflect and promote justice in our society. Equity and fairness. Our government officials go around the world and say, we need you to come to Nigeria and invest so that our country can develop. But I tell you, anybody who comes to Nigeria, friends look at the judicial system of Nigeria. Does the people work? Is the law working? But nobody want to invest their money in the country where the law does not work. And working on the law starts with you. You are the beginning. But now that you are being given this opportunity by God, there is no small job. The magistrate is not a small person in society. What people don't know is the first job you do in life determines the rest of your job. The way you do it determines where you go. I can hear myself. Our practicing lawyer will come and down. I begin a religion justice. I begin associate justice. And natural justice is an opportunity for you, depending on how you conduct yourself. Who told you you can be the natural justice? The sky is your limit, depending on how you conduct yourself. Remember, God has selected you to perform a particular role. Please do it to the best of your ability. Want you to know that the judgment will be for the life of people, their property, their status in life, whoever they are, children, old people, young people. Your judgment will affect everybody. And the way you make it, precisely with judgment, your conscience with judgment.
Responding on behalf of the newly appointed magistrates, Maryland County Penitentiary Magistrate Councilor Adolphus Taylor promised on behalf of all newly appointed magistrates to uphold integrity, impartiality, and adherence to the rule of law as they assume their judicial duties across the country. Magistrate Taylor expressed gratitude to President Boakai and the Liberia National Bar Association for the confidence reposed in them.
Let me, on behalf of my colleagues, thank the Almighty God first for this preferment on us, and to the President of the Republic of Liberia, Joseph Ima Boakai Sr., for his appointment, and to you, Your Honor, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Liberia, for your endorsement. We want to show you, as you have charged us with responsibility to uphold the rule of law, we do our best in fulfilling the confidence reposed in us. We are very much aware of this enormous task given us. We are privileged among our many police to be called or chosen to carry on this Herculean task. I want to thank you once again. I want to show you that we will do everything within our jurisdiction to uphold the rule of law. I want to say thank you once again, and God bless us all.
His Councilor Adolfo Stiller, the Spinnery Magistrate for Maryland County. Earlier, you listened to Chief Justice Yamin Weze. Indeed, if you just joined us, a reminder you are in tune to King's Newsroom, 45 minutes of news from Liberia and the rest of our one world. Today is Wednesday, November 5, 2025. My name is Cornelius Johnson, presenting story top in the headlines. Montserrat County District 10 lawmaker seeks impeachment of Chief Justice Yamin Weze with a bill presented to the House plenary. Representative Yeka Kwalba accuses Justice Weze of nepotism and public officials code of conduct violation. Government of Liberia rejects citizens movement for change Bon County $38 million bridge construction project. Public Works Minister Roland Gillens claimed the party requests 4 shots of cardinal information. Criminal Court A drops charges against 28 rape defendants due to overstay in prison. Away from home, Tanzania police have lifted a nighttime curfew imposed since last Wednesday in the main city of Dar es Salaam following deadly election protests as life slowly returns to normal across the country. At least 40 people in Sudan have been killed in a drone strike that targeted a funeral that was taking place outside the armed health city of El Obidi in North Kordofan State. Officials and activists say we take a very short break. When we come back, we'll bring you more developments on the program. Thanks for being there and welcome back. The president of the Liberia National Bar Association, Councillor Broom Nov, has called on all newly appointed magistrates to demonstrate impartiality, independence, and professionalism as they assume their roles across the country, emphasizing that magistrates represent the first line of justice for most Liberians. Speaking at the induction ceremony for magistrates held at the Temple of Justice in Monrovia, Councillor Vaman described the event as a reaffirmation of the judiciary's collective commitment to justice and service to the Liberian people. Councillor Vaman reminded that magistrates must be guided by principle of impartiality, independence, and respect for the rule of law, cautioning them against allowing political influence, personal relationships, or financial interests to interfere with their decisions. Here now is Councillor Broom Nov.
Today's ceremony, more than a formality, it is a reaffirmation of our collective commitment to the rule of law, access to justice, and service to the Liberian people. Magistrate courts form the front line of our justice delivery in our country. For many of our citizens, especially those in rural communities, the magistrate is the face of the justice system. It is here that disputes are first heard, rights are first tested, and confidence in your role, therefore, is indispensable. As you assume these responsibilities, the expectations: 1, impartiality and independence. The authority you wear must never be influenced by political pressure, personal relationships, or economic considerations. Justice must be dispensed fairly, consistently, and solely in accordance with the law. The second aspect we'd like to talk to you briefly on is competence and diligence. The increasing complexity of disputes, including matters relating to land, domestic violence, commercial transactions, and local governance, requires a commitment to continuous learning. We encourage you to take advantage of judicial training programs, continuing legal education engagements, and professional development opportunities offered by the Liberia National Bar Association and our partners. The bar remains especially concerned about prolonged pretrial detention, overcrowded prisons, the rights of vulnerable groups. As magistrates, you must ensure that bail is applied reasonably, warrants are issued lawfully, and every accused person is accorded and afforded their constitutional protections. The dignity of each litigant, rich or poor, must be respected. Collaboration among the bench, the bar, the police, correction officers, and community leaders is essential to the we see hold our magistrates accountable, but to do so respectfully and lawfully. The new magistrates remind you that your oath is not merely a ceremonial one. It is a covenant between you, the Constitution, and the Liberian people.
He's the president of the Liberia National Bar Association, Councilor Bono Varma, on there speaking. Still at the Judiciary Criminal Court, E has dropped charges against 28 defendants accused of raping several teenage girls in the country following a motion filed to the court by defense lawyer Councilor Jerome Purr. George Sarina Kalawolo Monday, according to our judicial correspondent, released 28 defendants on grounds that they have overstayed beyond the statutory period, which violated Chapter 18, Section 18.2 of the Criminal Procedure Law of Liberia. George Kalawolo's ruling maintained that the defendants have been in prison for more than 2 court terms, which violate their constitutional rights. But the director of Sexual-Based Violence Unit at the Ministry of Justice, Councillor Isaac George, took exception to the court's decision. Councillor George said that George Kalawolo's November 3, 2025 decision went contrary to law controlling and undermining their fight against rape in the country. Here now is Councillor Isaac George.
I'm very much disappointed, disturbed that the fight against sexual gender-based violence, rape, is on the reversal based on the fact that court, which is expected to uphold the whole issue of sexual offenses and make sure that survivors, victims receive justice, seems to be in the turn of reversing. About 28 cases were dismissed today, and in those cases, about 21 of them, the prosecution indicted those cases, and furthermore, the prosecution requested the court for assignments in these cases, which the court failed to assign. So for the court to dismiss based on the failure to proceed, I think that is actually repugnant to the practice of our law, and we think that the court is in serious error.
You are saying that the court is in error, but when you read the court ruling, the court say that you failed to proceed as we did at 28 cases. So based on the motion that was filed by the defense team, it was based on that they granted this in line with Chapter 18, Section 18.2 of the Criminal Procedure Law.
The Article 21F of the Constitution states clearly that the court shall provide for speedy trial. So the fact that we requested the court for assignment, we have written evidence that we requested the court for assignment, and the court failed to assign those cases.
So in short, are you saying that the court was in error to do this?
Absolutely, the court is in error because assignment was prayed for. Indictments drawn, assignment prayed for, and we are waiting the court. We do not assign cases. I cannot compel or coerce the court to assign cases. I can request the court to assign cases, which I did.
You have other remedy in line with the court decision. So why are you contemplating on doing that?
Well, we are following the prohibition to make sure that it is halted. But again, up to present, as I speak to you, we are yet to receive the court's ruling.
You know your process.
Absolutely. We've answered the ruling. The client is telling us that the judge has not signed the ruling. It has been passed on. The justification of the court is that the place is overcrowded. So what do I tell the survivor victim? Is it that the justice would not be given to them because the place is overcrowded? Is that I'm going to tell the survivor victim?
It's troubling.
It's troubling because we've asked for assignments and we are waiting the court to assign the cases. So to see the court is missing an indictment which assignment has been prayed for is actually troublesome and frustrating.
Is Councillor Isaac George of the Sexual and Gender-Based Violence Unit at the Ministry of Justice. They're taking the section to the ruling of George Kalawolo of Criminal Court E. They're releasing about 28 defendants accused of raping several teenage girls in the country following a motion filed by the defense lawyer, Councilor Jerome Purr. To this development now, President Joseph Boakai has instructed the management at the Forestry Development Authority to forward to his office within 6 weeks with the clear explanation and reconciliation on Liberia's total standing on the forest status. He said the government owes aid to the Liberian people and its international partners to manage the forests in the country based on truth, transparency, and scientific accuracy. President Boakai's directive was contained in a speech delivered on his behalf by Dr. Augustine Cannon, Presidential Advisor on International Affairs, at the opening of a 3-day dialogue on the Liberia National Forest Forum organized by the Forestry Development Authority in Congo Town.
I am directing the Managing Director of the Forest Development Authority, the Honorable Rudolph J. Murab Sr., and his senior management team and experts to report to my office within 2 to 6 weeks with a clear explanation and reconciliation of these discrepancies surrounding Liberia's total standing forest cover. We owe it to the Liberian people and to the global community to manage our forest based on truth, transparency, and scientific accuracy. Only then can we chart a responsible and transformative path forward for the forest sector of our country. Liberia's total forest cover was estimated at 4.3 million hectares. Yet today, we are being told that this figure has increased to 6.6 million hectares.
In remarks, the Managing Director of the Forestry Development Authority, Rudolph Merak, disclosed that the revenue in the forest sector has dropped from over 40 million United States dollars before the Civil War to about 5 million United States dollars currently. Here now is the Forestry Development Authority Managing Director Rudolph Merak.
It has been 19 years of reform, and we see no improvement. Our forest has been destroyed by illicit activities and claims of individual interest over and above our national interest. But let us admit the bitter truth: we have failed. Forestry revenue have collapsed from over $40 million before the war to less than $5 million in 2024 and projection of under $6 million in 2025. Let us now confront the elephant in the room. Liberia has proudly committed on a global stage to place more than 30% of the forest estate under protection. But I must ask you today, is that realistic? Is that even possible? Because the community rights law and the Liberian rights laws have fundamentally changed the landscape of forest governance in Liberia. Almost every inch of land in Liberia belongs to the communities.
He is the Managing Director of the Forestry Development Authority, Rudolph Merak. Earlier, you listened to Dr. Augustine Cannon, Presidential Advisor on International Affairs. The speaking. Of the home front now, Tanzania police have lifted a nighttime curfew imposed since Wednesday in the main city of Dar es Salaam following deadly election protests as life slowly returns to normal across the country. Following the arrest, the internet was cut nationwide and most shops in Dar es Salaam closed amid acute shortages of basic essentials and soaring prices. Schools shut down and public transport came to a halt. On Tuesday, some shops reopened and traffic resumed, but with couriers persistent at some petrol stations in Dar es Salaam. Families continued to search for or bury relatives killed in the clashes between the security forces and opposition supporters who announced the coup as a sham. Observers from the Soften African Development Community, a regional bloc which includes Tanzania, said in a preliminary report that the election fell short of democratic standards. The two opposition leaders were unable to contest the coup. Tinubu Luzi is in detention on treason charges, which he denies, while Lungaga Pamina's candidacy was rejected on technical grounds. And at least 40 people in Sudan have been killed in a drone strike that targeted a funeral that was taking place outside the army-held city in northern Kordofan state. Officials and activists say they blame the paramilitary rapid support forces for Monday's attack on the village as mourners had gathered in a tent. The RSF has not yet commented. Many reported died before getting to hospital. In the city, a strategic city that connects the capital, Khartoum, to the western region of Darfur, fighting has intensified in the oil-rich Kordofan area, and around 200 people fled to nearby places week after the RSF captured Bara town, 30 kilometers north of the city. The town fell at the same time as the city of El Fasher, which has been the army's largest stronghold in Darfur. To end this news here, once again, our top stories. Montserrat County District 10 lawmakers seeks impeachment of Chief Justice Yamin Bweze with a bill presented to the House plenary. Representative Yaka Kolubai accuses Chief Justice Bweze of nepotism and public officials code of conduct violation. Government of Liberia rejects citizens' movement for change Bond County $38 million bridge construction request. Public Works Minister Roland Giddens claims the party requests forced short of cardinal information. Criminal Court E drops charges against 28 rape defendants due to overstayed in prison. Away from home, Tanzania police have lifted a nighttime curfew imposed since last Wednesday in the main city of Dar es Salaam following deadly election protests as life slowly returns to normal across the country. And at least 40 people in Sudan have been killed in a drone strike that targeted a funeral that was taking place outside the army-held city in North Kordofan state. Officials and activists say. Many thanks to all of our contributors, editors, and reporters who helped in making this edition of King's Newsroom sources. For more news and information on this station, do join us at 1 p.m. or better still at 6 p.m. for a fresh edition of King's Newsroom. Many thanks to all of you for listening and watching. My name is Cornelius Johnson. Good morning.